move on from our conversation of are you tough? However, I may or may not have found another story that will beg the same question, and it may or may not involve a pair that Damien is very fond of. We'll leave that till after Brandon Marcello. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Brandon Marcello joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline of CBS Sports, 9 a.m. Wednesday, July 29th, right here on Jocks. Listen online, jocksfm.com. You reported yesterday documentation on the Protect College Sports Act, which a lot of us know has been ongoing here for a month or so, trying to push this through, get this thing done, that details are changing to hopefully satisfy the Big Ten and the SEC. Questions that they had, concerns that they had, repairing them to satisfy those two. What further information, Brandon, can you give us on what those changes possibly could be for the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten?
Well, they're still talking, and, with every passing moment, it just seems like we're not going to be moving toward this actually getting passed, but who knows? I mean, politics and lawmakers, things could get crazy sometimes. But having said all that, a lot of the issues that the Big Ten and the SEC were really wanting to get through, a few of them they've got, but there's some compromises and then also some kind of like losses that you would go through here and kind of chalk up. But, the big things that the SEC really wants to do is, one, they don't want to be targeted, them in the Big Ten when it comes to potential conference expansion. So there's kind of a compromise in there where instead of it just being, the power conferences for that matter, that they can't really expand, they say, well, you can expand, but it'll only be up to 19 teams. Well, if you're the Big Ten, that means you can only add one team, and the SEC you only add three in the future. Also, they wanted clearer language around a lot of the things in that bill, just so they can help protect themselves from being sued, as they've been over and over again here in the courts in recent history. And in particular with media pooling rights, a lot of programs, or I shouldn't say a lot, but some programs are convinced outside the Big Ten and the SEC that if they can all get together, go across conference lines and pool their media rights, that they'll be able to make more money. But the Big Ten and SEC don't want to be punished if they don't participate. So they're trying to clear up the language on that. There's also a lot of kind of technical jargon in there about, Olympic sports and non-revenue sports and some flexibility with that. Sovereign immunity when it comes to new litigation exposure, especially for the public universities. There's really no direct language in this new amended bill that really goes and gives the SEC what they want from that. Also, there's no third-party clarity when it comes to trying to figure out your NIL market standards when you're talking about, fair market value with these third-party deals. And then also a lot of questions about arbitration and the situation there when we talk about, as we've seen with the College Sports Commission, some of these deals that get questioned and they go into arbitration and the independent arbiter kind of looks it over. There's some concerns there that this bill will actually end up invalidating some of the agreements that players have already reached. So all in all, and now that everybody's asleep hearing all that, the Big Ten and SEC aren't exactly happy as of this morning with everything, but they continue to discuss things. And, we always talk about deadlines and, the clock's ticking. They've got to try and see if they can push this bill over to the Senate Majority Leader so they can get it to a vote potentially next week on the Senate floor. Because if they don't do that, this bill might be lost in the ether forever.
Brandon Marcello of CBS Sports joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Now there's a deadline apparently placed on this for the SEC and the Big Ten. How real is that? How firm is that deadline in your opinion?
I'm not reporting that, but they do need to figure something out this week. When we talk about deadlines and politics, and for that matter, really anything, we saw with the college football playoff, for example, last year, things getting kicked down the road. But, the real deadline here is just the fact of the matter that Congress is about to go on their August recess in the summer, and once that happens, the feeling is, and history tells us, that it's very hard to get legislation pushed across when they return during an election year with the midterms coming up. But the Senate Majority Leaders made it pretty clear that for us to really bring anything to the floor for vote here in the next week, you obviously have to do something this week. And I have not been really told that there's a deadline out there for this morning or whatever, because discussions are still going on among everybody, and those are still going to continue at least through today, I should say.
Brandon Marcello joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking Protect Sports Act and maybe the possibilities that it goes through. Where's your overall confidence on it now, with some of the changes that have been made, some of the other discussions that you've been hearing through multiple media days? Do you feel like better chance, not as good a chance, say, than you were 3 weeks ago?
About the same where I was 3 weeks ago. And I say that because the same issues that the Big Ten and SEC have had with this bill, in a lot of ways, they still remain. They did clear a few things up, but there's still a lot that they need to discuss and figure out, and there's just no time for it. So if I had to get a percentage of this thing going on the Senate floor and being voted on, I would say probably 30% as of right now. And then you go further down the line and extrapolate that. Well, does it pass the Senate? And then does it go to the House? And does it pass the House? Those percentages will obviously decrease from that 30%.
It's interesting to think about this thing and where it may go and what it may look like. Moving ahead, you also had some details on Florida State recently and some of the finances that have come their way and what they've been able to gain from boosters and donors. Based on what happened on the field last year, is that going to be repeated? Is that something that's going to go away? Are those on hold to wait and see what happens? Kind of where is the financial aspect of the Florida State Athletic Department right now?
They sent something out about the record numbers they've brought in, and numbers that have been pledged, but also actual cash contributions. And people go, "Wow, Florida State's got a lot of money." Well, you're only as rich as the amount of money that's actually in your bank account. You're spending a lot of that money. Florida State's been spending a lot of money, upgrading their facilities, including their stadium. And then also when it comes to the stadium, these new boxes, loge seats, whatever you want to call them, that they've opened up Florida State Stadium. If you want some of that, you got to increase your donations, which there, of course, translates to higher contributions, which were reported yesterday. Now, people sit there and go, they see all this money and go, well, that just means they can afford to pay out Mike Norvell. And listen, if Mike Norvell doesn't do well this year, they're going to get rid of him no matter what the buyout is, because it would be too damning for them to not move on. I do find it interesting that people see these numbers and go, wow, $80-something million in cash contributions. Man, that's a lot of money. It is, but it's only a lot of money if you're able to keep a little bit of it.
What was your big takeaway from SEC Media Days, whether that was a shift on a team, an opinion on what a team could be, couldn't be, might be, on a coach, on a player? Like, what would you say was one of your bigger or biggest takeaways from SEC Media Days?
I had a couple, and they're not necessarily headlines that'll move the needle for people, but I found them interesting because it was a little different. The Texas players were so supremely confident in saying that if they don't win a national championship this year, they would consider it a disappointment. Colin Simmons told that to a few of us during their day. And, listen, everybody, I think, on the outside looking in would maybe say that too. I wouldn't, because that's quite the goal. But they've got quite the mindset at Texas this year that I think is a little bit different than it has been in recent years. And then also Mississippi State, believe it or not, I came away very impressed chatting with Jeff Levy and the players, and how confident they are in thinking that they're going to have a breakthrough year. Jeff Levy says he's got his best roster there yet in Starkville. It's very hard to argue that, but they've got a lot of confidence. Kamara Taylor, and and what they've been able to bring on and the recruiting they've done over the last couple of years. And um, I think Jeff Levy, and talking with him, I started buying into Mississippi State quite a bit last week.
You feel like the biggest problem with Texas prior has been sort of mindset, has been mentality, and if that's repaired, that could be the difference in them maybe doing some things they haven't been able to do the last few years.
Potentially, but also, I mean, I think that these players that have worked through it the last couple of years, and then falling a little bit short of the playoff last year, and then adding what they did in the transfer portal, I think just that experience, and then knowing from that experience, hey, we're better this year than we were last year or even 2 years ago when we did make the playoff. I think that's reinforced that belief. And now that they can talk the talk because they know they can walk the walk. And I think that's huge for that Texas program. They haven't had that in quite some time.
Absolutely. What are you most looking forward to from Big Ten Media Days? Either something that came out yesterday or with the teams that are going to be there today or tomorrow?
Yeah, I really want to talk to Kyle Whittingham and just figure out what's going on in the Michigan program right now, how he feels about it. He's been around a lot of championship football at Utah. I want to hear from him just how he feels about this Michigan team, because I talk to people around there. They feel really good about this team, and they're one of my picks to maybe be a dark horse to make the playoff this year. But I really want to hear from Kyle Whittingham and tell me, what do you see in this team and what do you believe they're going to be by the end of the year.
They're intriguing, man. Like the ceiling feels like it's there, but still a lot of new. There's been so many disruptions and so much still uncertainties behind the scenes. You don't really know exactly what that's going to look like. Brandon, great stuff, man. Thanks for the time today. Always enjoy catching up. Look forward to doing it again soon.
All right, man. See you, Cole.
Brandon Marcello, CBS Sports, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking a multitude of topics, including the College Sports Act and some changes that are potentially being made to satisfy the SEC, the Big Ten. Is that going to be enough? It didn't sound like Brandon was on board with this timeline that some people are saying is potentially out there and is going to be put in place for them to make that decision. And I would imagine that if your two biggest entities that have to get on board, if you're going to get this thing through, you're probably not drawing a line in the sand to say ultimately this is or is not going to happen. But maybe lawmakers' patience is running thin. We'll see. The question of the day is, are you tough? I might have another example that needs to be addressed with someone that is going to be close to the heart of Damian Mitchell. We'll discuss it right after this on Jogs. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Question of the day, are you tough? I have another example, which, by the way, a little surprised that your poll question is going the direction that it is. Damien put up a poll question on the Mac and Cube Twitter feed. A lot of people apparently think they're tough.
Let's go.
No context poll question. Are you tough? 75% yes. I don't know how many heard our story.
Right.
Or didn't hear our story.
Okay.
But, okay. Game Day Men's Health can help you be tougher if you need to. If you're lacking sleep, lacking energy, feeling on edge, go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for the free consultation. They want to help you get back to feeling like your best, which could be tough. If it's weight loss that you need, peptides that can help you with skincare, sleep, body aches. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for the free consultation. Mention Mac and Cube when you walk in the front door. Save 10% on any service they offer. That's weight loss. That's peptides, testosterone replacement, holistic approach to health and wellness. Minimal upfront costs from the programs they offer. Book your free consultation today at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Are you familiar with Tyler Hubbard?
Yes, he's the Florida Georgia line.
How do they know which is which?
Because he's from Georgia, and Brian Kelly with Kelley, not to be confused with the former LSU coach.
Oh,
but he is
because the other Brian Kelly just picked Texas to win the SEC.
Yeah, not this Brian Kelly.
Okay, gotcha.
But yes,
he was enjoying a fishing trip with his wife Haley and their kids Olivia, Lucas, and Atlas.
Correct.
When they had a little bit of an issue.
I'm familiar.
Posted on Instagram, breakfast was going to have to wait. Haley stepped away to play doctor when he had a fishing hook stuck in his scalp.
And he's got long hair.
He does.
That's painful. It's painful.
In the video via Instagram, one of the kids is here saying, "Dad, don't think about it. Mom's going to pull it out right away."
There you go.
But a fishing hook,
that can do some damage.
There are mechanisms in which it's designed not to be pulled out, so that could be uncomfortable. But they did remove the fishing hook from his scalp.
Well, that's good.
No tears, by the way.
No.
Which begs the question, are you tough? Again. By the way, they were camping in an Airstream. Hard pass. I would say you're tough just for doing that. With kids.
They're different, man.
With kids. You go camping in an Airstream with kids, you're tough. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. Right. After spending 2 nights with 2 in a hotel room over the weekend.
It's tough.
You can have your Airstream.
Let's go.
Nope. So, yeah.
And I was wondering why there was such a delay. I mean, of course, you didn't know, but they've reunited. Florida Georgia line they've put their differences aside.
Didn't know.
Yeah. So I was wondering why there was such a delay because they performed at the CMA Fest about a month or so ago. Had the crowd going crazy. Like, hey, they're back. I was wondering why there was such a delay in music because now I see, he's on the IR right now. But hopefully he heals properly.
Big Corgi Boss tweets in, he's really tough. Hiking that far without your pole is insane perseverance. Or with one. I feel like that'll throw your balance off. Like your equilibrium is just way off kilter.
It is.
In response to the photographs that we put up, Will tweets in, I knew Echo Cubic said they were going to be posted. Did not expect to see it before I finished my coffee. Good Lord.
Right. That's why it brings up so many questions. How did we get here? That is the biggest question I have is what accident, what situation led us to this position?
Yeah, I don't feel like the explanation that we're given in some of these interviews, and if you're missing this, we're referencing a gentleman, David Cifaldi, who had his trekking pole impale himself and then had to hike 10 miles back down the mountain with it impaled. I did receive a text that I will read on air, not share from who, that said, I'm going to be real honest with you guys. Judge away if you will. I ain't built like that. That's grand opening, grand closing for me. which technically, if you look at the photograph, it was.
It was.
It was grand opening for the skin, and because it didn't bleed, it was grand closing right there. It didn't even let any of the blood come out. It closed the wound right up. It filled the wound nicely.
It did.
To where there was no leakage whatsoever. Which that might be the surprising part. It's just you would think the photographs of him, he'd be like a bloody mess, and it's just like boop, and it just perfectly corked the skin after it impaled him.
Okay. This 205-834-9450. You can text or call in. Somebody just texts in, says, my dad had a fish hook stuck between his eyes. We fished for a few more hours.
No.
My mom removed it when we got home.
Mm-mm.
I guess.
So we're talking in the space
injured?
above your nose?
Are you injured or are you hurt?
Apparently neither.
Hey, just keep it rolling. That's insane.
Now, what was the reason for not to remove it then? Like difficulty of removal? Or it's just, you know what, it's there, I can barely feel it. Here, let's just go. The bass are biting. Let's get it.
What's more important right now? Because I guess because of where you, again, if it's around your eyes, there's so many things that could go wrong.
Do you clip it and then pull it out on the non-sharp side? Just because they have those little
right, yeah,
pop it.
That's one of those. If I'm ever caught in that situation, yeah, you got to figure out what to do.
I don't want the fishing hook stuck in me anywhere.
He followed up. It was in his bone. It was in the bone.
More reason to just go ahead and leave.
But no, man. Hey, you're already there. You're committing to it. Like you said, are you injured or are you hurt?
What if you got to the hospital and they said, you know what, you left it too long. It's just there.
Then you have
it's now a piercing.
Then you have a visual representation of I am tough.
Or a Motley Crue fan.
Yeah, that too. That too. Dylan said, I'm tough. I once splashed hot sauce in my eye and I never cried.
Really?
I feel like naturally one of the eyes would cry just because, again, it's a foreign substance in the eyelid. But
I feel like very similar to our impalement question, how?
I guess the heat.
Did you think it was coming out the other end? Like, how? How did that?
Maybe an aggressive.
Was it like on the retract when you went to throw it on and it?
Yeah, and it just
I need to know how.
And didn't cry.
That doesn't feel like an easy miss, by the way.
Correct.
Like on your jeans or your shoe, maybe, but like back into the eye.
Yeah, or maybe like you eating something, got a little residue on your hand. Yeah, it burns a little bit, but you didn't cry.
Burrito was rolled tight and is.
I would have cried. I'll go ahead and admit it.
Okay. 10 miles down, 12,000 feet with a trek pole inside of me. I mean, if you got to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah, your nurse brain takes over. If there's no blood, it's like, hey, we can keep it rolling.
What are you going to do? Just sit there and die? I mean, I guess you got to go.
You have to. We have some tough people on the Jock Text line. Somebody texts in and says, broke my leg in a high school football game. No ambulance was there. 30 miles in the back seat of a car. No pain meds. Tough.
Also, I mean, if there's no pain meds available, that's just, you just go with it.
That is true.
I will say, nothing against this gentleman, but sometimes the broke leg and still played. There are multiple levels to broken legs.
We're talking like broken femur.
We like to make that sound like this was this like comminuted spiral fracture, that had pierced the skin. That was like an open wound. Like sometimes it can just be like a micro hairline fracture, and they call that a broken leg. Like it can be very different.
Listen to this. Somebody takes it and says, when I was about 8 or so, I fell out of a tree and a stick went through my leg. My parents, who were both nurses, had company, and my mama just pulled it out, put a Band-Aid on both sides, and pretty much told me to get over it.
No. If they were both nurses, they should have known that that wound, the infection possibilities were high there.
Well, they had company, so we had to deal with that a little bit later.
I need to know who the company was. Was the president there?
Right.
Was Bear Bryant at your house recruiting your brother?
They
Like,
said just put a Band-Aid over it.
What was happening? Who was there? I need to know.
Like imagine telling your kids, like, hey, only talk to me when there's an emergency.
Right.
There's a whole
It's a
stick.
stick
There's
in
a
me.
stick in my leg.
Through me. You're good. Did they snap it and pull it out, or did they just?
That's wild.
I have more questions on that than I do the Trek pole guy.
Somebody texted in and said, guys, y'all know good and well if G-Mac was here, he would have went to the summit, hiked back down, thrown a couple touchdowns with the kids, then went to the hospital. He's not that tough. He had a calf heart attack, dog.
Yeah, forgot about that.
He had a calf heart attack. No. And he plays Mahjong. He ain't that tough. Not anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his response would be to this. It could be interesting. I'm sure he has a scenario in which.
Yeah, like I've seen a couple of accidents on the side of a mountain.
I mean, think about it. He's kind of from Texas, so
he's different. It's a different type of tough over there.
When you're kind of from Texas, you're definitely tough.
Not in South Lake Carroll, baby.
Power clean record.
Come on.
Hall of Fame. All right, so we found out we have a lot of tough listeners.
Let's go. I'm here for it.
I do like the gentleman, though, with the stick. Same as our guy David. The nurse brain clicked on. Just
slap a Band-Aid over
fix
it.
We'll be fine. We'll get it done. But that's different.
Oh, before we get out, and this one, you can attest to this. John, big Tennessee fan. He texted in. He says, I'm tough. Had kidney stones on both sides at the age of 30.
Like, coming out? Yeah, you are. If you survived it.
You live to tell the tale. That's tough.
Royal Payne tweets in, if Atco Cubic was an OL coach, he would bring in Hiker Dude to speak to the team during 100-degree summer workouts and say, you ain't tough. I know one guy who would. Y'all ain't tough. Champ Bailey played 108 plays. And y'all's fat are complaining for playing 68. You ain't tough. Champ Bailey was on the field for 109 plays. 68 of those was not involved because they threw the ball the other way.
Bro,
I got to get this one too before we go.
Gosh.
I'm not sure if I can read this. Like, okay, Jolly tweets into the show. All right, listen carefully. I'm going to try to enunciate this slowly.
Okay.
Had to retrieve a body out of a hoarding house.
Okay.
Body had been there a few weeks. Had to go in, put body in a bag that was decomposing with about 2-foot clearance of garbage to ceiling. Mental toughness. I will say you are tough.
Extremely.
Did you have the gas mask?
I hope so.
Because the medical mask, not even going to matter at that point.
No, we need a hazmat suit, man.
You please tell me that you had the serious gas mask, something on where, yeah.
Oh boy. Whew. That's tough. That's a whole different level.
Greg Skipworth, I taught in prison for 2 years and helped defeat the Soviet Union. Is that tough? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll allow it.
Absolutely.
Now, why do I want more details on Jolly's story?
Right. There's some questions.
How did it look? What was the density after 2 weeks?
What was the smell?
No, I don't want to know that.
But that's a different level.
I bet that's one that you can't even really describe.
Yeah.
When you're riding down the interstate sometimes and something has perished, an animal on the side of the road, and you get it for about 7 seconds. I imagine that times about 150.
And then you're touching it and moving it. In a hoarding, as in HOARDING
Correct.
house. Yeah, I can only imagine. Oh, gosh.
Not sure. That was a great line, but I'm glad I didn't say it on FM radio. I'm going to stay away from that one.
Good job.
Okay, when we come back, Ole Miss is suing former players. Is that tough? We'll ask Ben Garrett right after this on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 9:35, Wednesday, July 29th, right here on Jocks. It's been a fun show. I came in today thinking we were going to talk about Save College Sports Act, Big Ten Media Days, Ohio State going to be there today, Oregon going to be there today in Chicago, and it turned into a whole show of Are You Tough? That's pretty much it today. But it's been enjoyable. We'll talk to Ben Garrett now about this Ole Miss lawsuit that apparently is being filed. But I'll start with this, Ben. Just in general, are you tough?
Am I tough? I like to think so. You know, I don't know what the criteria is for you for being tough, but as long as you say it with your chest and
Yep.
you know.
Well, it started with the climber David Cifaldi, 32 years old. He impaled himself with his trekking stick and had to hike 10 hours down the mountain and then ride another 2 hours in the car to the hospital with it still inside of him. He did this like in his lat, like right under his armpit. So,
yeah, I got thrown into a ditch. Me and my Jeep Wrangler, somebody ran up on me, and I was concussed for 10 minutes. But other than that, and I came out of it going, "Oh, cool, we good?" You know. So is that tough?
We'll
I think
take
it's
it.
pretty tough.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
I could take a smack. I could take a hit in the face. It's okay.
There we go. Well, a couple former Ole Miss players taking a different kind of a hit. Devin Harper, Princewell Uman-Mieling are being sued for breach of contract. I have to imagine that because of the potential blowback here, the Ole Miss administration went way above and beyond in looking into the possibilities of ways that this could be circumvented, that Harper, Uman-Mieling could get out of this or get around this. Just what due diligence, how far do you think Keith Carter and the people who work with him did before they actually filed this?
I mean, I think they went as far as they could. I mean, they waited. They sent out a detailed kind of receipt list, if you will, about the efforts they made to recoup this. Ultimately, we all as adults understand it. When you sign binding contracts, that language, you're held to it. And in a world, in an environment in college athletics where schools, and this isn't just an Ole Miss thing. I mean, like Dabo gets up in front of a microphone and has all these things to say about Pete Golding and Ole Miss. But the fact of the matter is, everyone agrees on the same thing, that there are no rules and there's no protections whatsoever for schools. So if we can't even agree that contract language that every other adult in America has to be held to, like that we're not even going to hold the kids to contract language and they can just be complete freedom of movement. I just think we've gotten all of our priorities backwards because we're so tribalized and we're saying, well, it's our guys, so like what we're doing is okay. No, all of it's messed up. All of it's messed up. It's messed up that the kids signed a revenue share agreement back in January, and then not even a week later, they're going to an SEC rival. They signed a contract. Here's the thing, like I don't even blame the players. Like the players want to move, that's fine. Because I would venture to say, knowing the processes and how Billy Glasscock and Lane operated at Ole Miss for a while, I can all but guarantee you that LSU told those guys trying to get them to transfer after signing the rev share agreements that, we'll take care of the buyout money. Don't you worry about it. If anything, it's a terrible look for LSU because you're asking these players to leave the school they just signed a legally binding rev share deal with. Then you're expecting them to absorb it. That's not, everyone wants to talk about, well, what does it say about Ole Miss suing the players? Ole Miss is just trying to recoup damages and the money that the contractual terms agreed to. LSU, for me, it just looks really bad because at the end of the day, they re-signed on January 6th. They've got timestamps as Ole Miss. They entered the transfer portal on the 14th was when Devin did it. On the 20th was when Princely did it, and that was like the day before the portal closed. I mean, everything seemed to be pretty much going to plan for LSU, except for the fact that I guess they wanted to challenge to see if there are any rules at all. And for school protections, man, you're not going to walk away from $1 million in buyout money, especially when we live in a climate where if it's not bolted to the floor, you sell it. So it's just a stupid creation of a stupid system that no one's fixing. And but I mean, people say it's just the Ole Miss guy defending Ole Miss. I'm not. I think we've got to have contract terms at least. That's the only protections left. And so Ole Miss is just trying to recoup the money that is owed.
Yeah, Ben Garrett joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline talking Ole Miss lawsuit. I said earlier, this is one of the first times that with all of the woe is me college football observers that usually feel sorry for the players and players should always get more and it's never enough. I expected them to be loud against this and trying to point a finger at this, and it's been quiet on that front, and I think that's good because, like you said, there's got to be some accountability in some way, and there's been very few ways for administrations, coaches to sort of push back, and this is one way that they can do it. But I want to ask you about these individuals, and this is your opinion. I'm not asking for facts here. Mm-hmm. Is this lack of good representation? Is this just not giving a rip on the players' part? Is this just a windfall that was thrown their way that was that much greater that they didn't feel like they could turn it down? Like, what do you think the driving force was? Because you laid out the timeline, and you see that timeline, and you think to yourself, okay, this is almost just dumb to manage this way. Like, what do you think the driving force in these two making this move was ultimately against the contract that they had signed?
Well, I don't want to presume to like that I know what went into their brains here, but like at the end of the day, Princeville got $1 million to sign with them. Like, and Ole Miss had him evaluated at a certain price point and agreed to terms on a certain price point. So from that perspective, like it's just business. It's not personal. You know what I mean? So if Princeville takes a deal, he wants to go, that's fine. But again, you have to adhere to the contract language. I think ultimately what it is just like it is writ large in college athletics right now, Cole. No one gives a crap about the players. The players are being used as pawns in this because no one wants to collectively bargain with them. No one wants to treat them as a true labor force. You got Stanford kids now forming a union, which is the right move because we want to treat them like employees, but not treat them like employees. It's bizarre. And I think for Princeville, he had a starting role here. He was going to get paid handsomely. All these things are true. If you want to go to LSU, that's fine, but there are consequences to that once you agree to legally binding contract. Same thing with Devin Harper. I feel bad for Devin for real because, you know, he's a Louisiana kid and, like, almost got Devin over Louisiana, like, over LSU. That was a big win for them. So it was always going to be about, you know, that like he was already thinking about that, and that's always a pull for a lot of those kids. So, like, for him, I think he just got some bad advice. I think that Lane wanted to just kind of, you know, throw a middle finger up to his former school. He was pissed off that he didn't get more than a couple at that point to transfer with him. He'd gone after Trinidad. He'd gone after Kewan. He'd gone after Deuce Alexander. Hell, he'd gone after Caleb Cunningham. Every single one of their freshman class that they'd signed, man, for anyone of any kind of notoriety, he got a few of them, J.C. Anderson, Corey Barber, but, man, he tried to get Emmanuel Faulkner by dropping a bag the day before signing day. Really, it was just more Lane feeding the hubris of Lane. And I completely agree with him, too, because this isn't the first time Lane has, like, tested what are the rules in college football. I did it at Ole Miss, too, and I agreed with him then, and I didn't blame him for doing it now. Like, I've said that very clearly. Like, I don't blame Lane and LSU going, no, we're not going to pay it, just to see who's going to stop them, because there's nobody to stop anybody these days. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, if the schools can't keep getting screwed over and having no protections whatsoever, while the players are free to move and do whatever the hell they want, and that's kind of that's kind of where we are. Like, this is the last line of defense for schools before it turns to complete Wild West. I mean, this is the only form of protection, and how anyone isn't on the side of, like, yeah, pay the money you owe is beyond me. I mean, yeah, what a lesson we were going to be teaching 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, 22, 23-year-old dudes saying, yeah, you sign a contract. It don't really matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, you can still do whatever the hell you want. That's not how the real world works. So you're not preparing them. You're not really giving them any kind of guidance or whatsoever. If anything, they're being manipulated in a system that is pathetic by bad faith actors who really just want to feed their own ego and hubris.
Leave us with this. Ben Garrett joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You may not know, you may have heard commentary, had a discussion. I imagine the most difficult part of making this decision ultimately was it being used against you in recruiting. You almost kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier in our conversation, yep. But I can imagine Keith Carter sits there and says, all right, well, there are a lot of folks who are going to misconstrue this. They're going to twist these words, these headlines. They're going to send it to people and say, this is what they're going to do to you. They're going to come after your money if you decide to go somewhere else, which you and I both know legally, structurally, is not how this operated. How hard was that part of this decision for the Ole Miss administration in your mind?
I think it was a huge part. I mean, because like in February, there's a 30-day deadline to pay back the money. In February, in March, Ole Miss contacts LSU requesting payment. LSU 6 days later says, you know, they're not paying anything because they're not party to the contract. So Ole Miss waits until the hard deadline of the 1st and still don't make us think of it. Now on the 27th of July, after all deadlines have passed, all exhaustive opportunities as far as good faith operation have been exhausted. You got to do what you got to do because you don't walk away from $1 million. You don't walk away from any of that. And that's where it is, man. It's like I know it was hard for him. In the court of public opinion, like I understand the hesitancy there. But then I would also point to, like, I think it looks really crappy on the part of LSU. And that doesn't need to be lost. If it can be used against Ole Miss recruiting, we're going to sue you for breach of contract, which is what it is, for money that we are contractually owed. I would argue that getting Devin and Princeville to come to LSU after you've already signed deals, probably making promises such as, oh, don't worry about the payment, we'll take care of that, and not doing so, on top of Then you bring Devin Harper in and portal over him. You know what I mean? And so now you got a number two guy that you're really only overpaying for because I think his buyout was $440,000 at Ole Miss. Like, I thought that was supposed to be Trump change right now for LSU, which is paying millions upon millions of dollars. And now the kid's stuck on the second team when he'd been starting at right tackle for Ole Miss going into the fall. I mean, there's just so many dynamics to it at play to where contextually it's not, oh, Ole Miss hates players. No. Ole Miss, if anything, has gone above and beyond for the players. What they hate and what everybody hates, and we should all agree on, is there are no protections whatsoever for the school. So if the last line of defense, quite literally the last line of defense, contract language, if that can be attacked and manipulated, there are no rules. And the NCAA, like trying to suspend this Tennessee kid today for like $400 something or other, I mean, it makes you roll your eyes, Cole, because it's insane.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like the reason why the NCAA keeps getting its butt kicked in court is because of selective enforcement and this, that, and the other. Like the old way of doing things are gone. They are dead and gone. Now it ain't personal. It's business. Like the players have made clear of that. Lane Kiffin made clear of that. Ole Miss is doing the business side, the ugly business side of this sport that none of us want to talk about, and none of us want to be. I mean, Ole Miss opens fall camp next week, and we're talking about lawsuits against former players, all because of some like the adults in the room across college football can't get their crap together, or even give enough of a crap to sit down and figure out how we can actually move forward here. Dan Mullen wasn't wrong when he was asked not too long ago, hey, how would you fix the NCAA college football and what it's turned into? He said, blow it up and start over. He's not completely wrong, because I don't know how you especially if any of us are on the side of, oh, no, contract language doesn't matter in college football. Really? Because it matters quite literally everywhere else in walk of life. I know it matters in my life, Cole. I'm sure it matters in yours too. You know what I mean? And, like, we're not equipping these kids with anything other than to serve our own aims. By signing them to be an edge, to be an offensive lineman, we ain't teaching them responsibility. We ain't teaching them how contracts work. We ain't teaching them anything about the real world. All we're worried about is today and winning today. And, of course, it was painstaking for Ole Miss. I mean, this ain't about the players. It's about the process. And there's no protection. So it's a whole mess. It's a bad look for LSU. It's a silly issue. But also, I get it. In a world where nothing matters, where essentially at every turn we're told, it doesn't really matter, why not challenge it?
Ben, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate the time. Let's do it again soon. Out. Ben Garrett. Covers Ole Miss. Does a great job. He referenced some breaking news that we haven't gotten to yet involving Tennessee. We will share that with you and maybe get you a bad box score of the day next on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Couple minutes left, so I want to get to this quickly. Wednesday, July 29th, on 3 reporting. The NCAA suspended Tennessee linebacker Aaron Carter 2 games for a $427 flight to an NFL pre-draft training facility. Adam Sparks is reporting this. Josh Heupel in a statement, we disagree with the NCAA's ruling on punishing Aaron with a multi-game suspension this fall. Aaron made the right decision for his future health and well-being. He will proudly graduate from Tennessee in public health with Dean's List honors in August. Our team stands behind AC and his family. We can't wait to be on the field with him during training camp. First off, it doesn't matter when he graduates or what he graduates with or what his GPA is if he broke NCAA rules. Second off, suspending a kid 2 games for accepting a flight to go to a training facility with how we are operating fake NIL and pay for play today. One, boy, I hate saying this, but it feels real that the NCAA has had it out for Tennessee for quite some time. It just does. Just the reality of it. And I don't like being that guy. I'm not an excuse maker. Like, the ball bounces your way or it doesn't. I get it. But it's like, really? Other people reporting Aaron Carter will miss 2 games. No, he won't.
You don't think so?
No, he won't. No, he won't.
This will be handled.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just played him. I'm not joking. Like, Danny White doesn't play with the NCAA, man. Like,
that is true.
He doesn't play.
That is true.
Do not be surprised if this is not resolved and Danny White's like, just play him. We'll win.
And kind of to Ben's point, like, what's the NCAA going to do? Like,
we will win.
Yeah. What are they going to do?
Honestly, at this point in time, think about this, realistically. This is almost just a recommendation from the NCAA.
A suggestion.
That's all it is. Like, we suggest you don't play him. What can you do?
Nothing.
Because what's the one thing we always say about the college football playoff as it pertains to the NCAA and the difference between that and March Madness? They don't own it.
They don't own it.
It ain't theirs.
No. And also, think about this. A 2-game suspension would have been the exact same punishment that Brendan Sorsby would have had if he would have been cleared and played in college football. 2 games.
No, he won't. No, he won't. Aaron Carter will not miss 2 games for this.
Not happening.
No. Literally, in my brain right now, there is a 0.00% chance that Aaron Carter misses 2 games. Does he pay it back and take it down to 1 game? Maybe, but he ain't missing Georgia Tech. I'm going to tell you that.
Nope.
Not happening. We'll get to Bad Box Score of the Day tomorrow. Appreciate Jeff Schwartz joining us. Also, Brett Ciancia, Brandon Marcello, Ben Garrett. We'll be back tomorrow right here. 3-Man Front coming at you next.